Hey there everyone, it's time for another Gran Turismo Sport gameplay episode along with a Motorsports news update. Once again, we'll be racing with the 2017 Mercedes-AMG Formula One team's F1 W08 car. With the Mercedes Formula One car, obviously under the GT League, we'll be doing the Mercedes-AMG Grand Prix series of races. So for this, let's save synchronity for another time, but let's race at the Nürburgring. Alright, everything is set up. Let's go race on the Nürburgring. Slide on through. In my previous Gran Turismo Sport gameplay episode, you probably saw me race here on this track with the Red Bull X Junior cars. So this is like very much a step up from those cars to here. A lot more grip, a lot more power, a lot more. Oh, hit that bollard. A lot more technology to it. At the straightaways, I'm using my DRS to my advantage. Phantom shifted up. Didn't need to do that. Whoa, he almost spun out. This is just a well-handled, well-tuned car. It's fun to drive, easy to drive. Oh, too wide there. Oh, he's blocking that inside. a lot of gears to go through. 8 gears. I don't know what happened there. I accidentally shifted down. Didn't mean to. I got the inside. Ooh. Trying to take me out, huh? Discretion is the better part of valor through that quick chicane. Now passing. Using the DRS every time I'm on the straights. That's when it allows you to engage DRS. punk. Alright. Time to pull away with the lead. Whoa! Lapse in concentration there. What was I thinking? Full focus, Gio. Full focus. To go. Alright, let's get past this guy. Try to block the inside, huh? Huh? Trying to block the inside? Oh, stay on track. Tried holding it down through those corners, that quick chicane. Alright, approaching 2 laps to go. The penultimate lap. Let's see if I can beat my fastest time. Or the fast lap I set, 141. Utilize DRS on the streets. Beautiful lap, 138.5. Whoa. Probably got a wheel off there a little bit. I am 7 seconds ahead. Just taking it easy this last lap. That corner. Woohoo! What a win. Great stuff. Great stuff. Alright, while the replay goes, I'm going to talk to you about the latest motorsports news. It has been over a month since my last motorsports news update, so it's time again to provide you with some motorsports news. This news recording is done on May 16th, 2020 and May 17th, 2020. From the motorsports news site, therace.com, they organized the Race All-Star Series, which is a virtual / sim racing series, which features current and retired professional drivers racing in this series on the sim R Factor 2. There are 3 divisions in this sim racing series: the Pro Cup, which features drivers that currently race and are younger. The other division is called the Legends Trophy, which features drivers that are retired from racing and currently drivers that are older and experienced. The final division in the Race All-Star Series is the Sim Masters. This division features the Pro Sim drivers. After initially finishing their 7-round series, they made the decision to do another series again to continue it on. They started a new series on May 2nd. The Race All-Star Series is a really fun race to watch, seeing all these walks of life in motorsports race against each other. You should definitely check it out if you haven't. The Race All-Star Series airs on ESPN2 here in the US, as well as on the Race YouTube channel. In Formula 1, it was announced on May 12, 2020 that Sebastian Vettel will not drive for Ferrari after the 2020 season. Along with these other racing sim virtual series, Formula 1 started their own esports series on April 5th after the success of the Not the Grand Prix series from Velocity Esports. They titled these races as the F1 Virtual Grand Prix. The series features some of the current F1 drivers, some of the F1 team's reserve drivers, and some celebrity drivers as well. The racing sim they use is the Formula 1 2019 game by Codemasters. To review the last 2 races of the Formula 1 esports series, on May 3rd, they held the third Formula One Virtual Grand Prix at the Interlagos circuit, home to the Brazilian Grand Prix. Red Bull Racing driver Alex Albon would take the win. And then back on May 10th, their fourth Formula One Virtual Grand Prix, it was in line with the Spanish Grand Prix weekend, so they ran on the Catalunya circuit. George Russell of Rocket Williams Racing won the virtual Spanish Grand Prix. Back on April 27, Formula One announced their targeted 2020 season calendar. They plan to start the season in Austria at the Red Bull Ring on July 5. The race is to be done behind closed doors. Formula One's plan is to run races in Europe between July and September, the races in Asia between September and October, then races in the Americas and the Middle East between October and December, with all these races pending their dates, dependent on the coronavirus pandemic and the situation in their respective country. The early races of the season will be done without any fans, once again in accordance with the respective government's policies to help mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. Now, earlier in this segment of the Formula One news, I mentioned how Sebastian Vettel was leaving Ferrari after the 2020 season. Later in the week, we would find out that Daniel Ricciardo will be leaving Renault after 2020 and will race with McLaren, taking the spot of Carlos Sainz. Not too long after the Daniel Ricciardo announcement, Carlos Sainz announced that he will be replacing Sebastian Vettel in Ferrari. In Formula E, they too have started their own virtual racing sim series during this coronavirus pandemic and with the stay-at-home orders. They call it the Formula E Race at Home Challenge in support of UNICEF. With the UNICEF partnership, the Formula E teams and drivers will be raising funds to support kids around the world during this pandemic. The Formula E Race at Home Challenge is a 7-round series where each of the rounds features the Race Royale format. With the Race Royale format, during the race, after each lap, the driver in last place will get eliminated until there's 12 drivers left in the race, where it's a 1-lap race to the finish. Formula E just conducted their 4th round of this series. In round 1, it took place on the Hong Kong street circuit, where Maximilian Gunther of the BMW Andretti Formula E team would win that race. Round 2 of the series took place on this fictionally created circuit called the Electric Docks circuit, where Maximilian Gunther again would get the win. Round 3 of the Formula E Race at Home series took place on the Monte Carlo street circuit, the shortest circuit for Formula E cars, where Pascal Wehrlein of the Mahindra Formula E team would get the win. Round 4 took us back to the Hong Kong street circuit, where Pascal Wehrlein would get himself a back-to-back win in the two-wheeled dirt motorsports world of Supercross. On May 14th, they made an announcement they will return to racing at the end of the month, starting on May 31st. Because of how the pandemic interrupted their season mid-season, what they plan to do is to complete the rounds of the Supercross season, rounds 11 through 17. Those rounds will all be held at the Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City, Utah. The last 7 rounds of the season will continue on up until June 21, with that being the final round, round 17. Like with all the other motorsports wanting to get back to racing, they plan to meet all the necessary precautions and safety requirements to assist in the mitigation of the coronavirus. The races will be run with no spectators. With my favorite series, the IndyCar series, they officially announced that they will return to racing on Saturday, June 6, 2020 at the Texas Motor Speedway. They also made a schedule for the St. Petersburg Street Race, which will end the 2020 season, and that race is going to be run on October 25th, 2020. The other street race, the Honda Indy Toronto, did cancel their event in July. The IndyCar Series did finish their iRacing Challenge Series. Round 4 took place on Twin Ring Motegi. Simon Pagenaud would get the win there after his win in Michigan. In round 5 at Circuit of the Americas, we would see McLaren Formula 1 driver Lando Norris get the win. And with the final round of the iRacing Challenge Series, they would race at the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway virtually. Now, it was a controversial end to the Indy iRacing Challenge race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There was speculation that Simon Pagenaud purposely crashed out Lando Norris, who was in the lead with 2 laps to go. In the final lap going into turn 4, McLaren driver Pato O'Ward would make an attempt to pass Marcus Ericsson, who was currently in the lead, but they would end up crashing each other out as Pato O'Ward would attempt a very late dive to pass Marcus Ericsson in turn 4. After that crash, it cycled Oliver Askew into the lead with Santino Ferrucci close behind. They would battle for the win, but Ferrucci would make a sudden move to the left going into Oliver Askew and crashing each other out. With that, it made room for Scott McLaughlin to take the spoils and get the virtual win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, it's time for news around the world of NASCAR. As of this recording of the NASCAR news segment, today is May 17, 2020. All eyes were on NASCAR today as they returned to live racing. Before I recap today's race in Darlington, let's go over the news leading up to today, which there have been a lot of news coming from NASCAR since my last Motorsports update. The big news that happened is that Kyle Larson was dropped from Chip Ganassi Racing after he said a racial slur during a live stream iRacing event, which this iRacing event was a non-NASCAR sanctioned race. Many days later, we would find out that Matt Kenseth would return to the NASCAR Cup Series by way of filling that vacant spot at Chip Ganassi Racing. NASCAR would then grant Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman waivers to be eligible for the 2020 NASCAR playoffs. Newman got cleared to race again after his crash at the 2020 Daytona 500. It is awesome to see Newman come back and race since that accident. NASCAR did finish their eNASCAR Pro Invitational iRacing Series. From where we left off, round 4 took place on Richmond Raceway, which is in line for what the original schedule was. William Byron would get the win. Round 5 took place in Talladega Superspeedway, where Alex Bowman gets the win. But unfortunately, with that race, Alex Bowman's win would be overshadowed by what happened to Denny Hamlin. During the race, Denny Hamlin would be racing at home on his racing sim when his daughter would come up, ask him a question, and end up turning off that monitor he is playing on. After that incident, before round 6 at Dover, Denny Hamlin posted a video of himself hiding all the remotes. In round 6 at Dover, William Byron wins his 3rd NASCAR iRacing Series race. The final round of the eNASCAR Pro Invitational iRacing Series took place in the defunct North Wilkesboro Speedway, and Denny Hamlin would get the win, capping off the series with that win. Now, it was awesome to see the NASCAR Cup Series return to racing. NASCAR had their 5th race of the 2020 Cup Series season today at Darlington Raceway. Now, NASCAR implemented ways to operate the race safely. All the necessary team members are present, like the crew chief, pit crews, and spotters. The race engineers of each of the teams operated remotely from their respective homes or team headquarters. The Fox broadcast team only had their camera operators and on-track reporters present in person. Some of the production team in the production truck at the track, while the main hosts of the broadcast performed remotely back in studio in Charlotte. Then another production crew operated remotely from the Fox studios in Los Angeles, California, all while exercising social distancing. With the safety measures at the track, they did check temperatures before entering and required all the people to wear face masks or something to cover their mouth and nose at the track. And obviously, there were no spectators at the race. It has been 71 days since the last race in Phoenix. Now, NASCAR has returned. There were no practice sessions, no qualifying session. The starting positions for the race were done by random draw for the top 12 drivers in the championship point standings. Then a random draw for positions 13 through 24 from the drivers' points. Then the same random placement for positions 25 to 36. Lastly, positions 37 through 40 are filled by open, non-chartered teams based on owner points. It was a fine race at Darlington. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. crashed in the opening lap. With no practice, teams and drivers would have to adjust their cars as they run. Tires did get eaten up during the race, which would cause some drivers to get into accidents with a flat tire. After the race was run, Kevin Harvick would win the Real Heroes 400 at Darlington Raceway. My hometown driver, Kevin Harvick, would achieve his 50th career win in the NASCAR Cup Series. Not only will they race on Sundays, but they plan to continue to have races midweek. The NASCAR Xfinity Series race will race in Darlington on Tuesday, May 19th. They will have the similar procedure as the Cup Series. Then a second Cup Series race will be in Darlington and will happen on Wednesday, May 20th. The starting positions for that race will be determined by the finishing positions from the May 17 race today. Positions 1 through 20 will be inverted, meaning the driver who won the race today, Kevin Harvick, will start 20th. The driver that finished in second will start 19th, third will start 18th, and so on, with the 20th place finisher starting on pole. So we'll see Ryan Preece start on pole for the Wednesday race, with Ty Dillon starting alongside in second. And then after this Wednesday, next week, we'll start the next set of races for NASCAR, which will all be held at Charlotte Motor Speedway, starting on Sunday, May 24. Once again, they plan to run races midweek with the Gander Outdoor Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. And then after those races, a second Cup race will be held at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was great to see all the virtual sim races being broadcasted on TV, which some of the motorsporting series are still planning or are still holding these virtual sim races until their respective season starts up again. The virtual sim races are a great way to show off racing when they are unable to hold these events live. Again, it was awesome seeing the return of the NASCAR Cup Series. It is awesome to see live racing again. With the safety measures implemented by NASCAR, they are able to provide racing entertainment to everyone staying safe at home. And with this race dedicated to the healthcare workers, it makes it special and meaningful during this time. With seeing this race today, it gives me hope that we are taking the steps back to normalcy. It is unfortunate during this time of the coronavirus pandemic. It is preventing us from big gatherings, but it is important that we do our part to help prevent the spread of the virus. Everyone stay safe. We'll all get through this together. Thank you for watching this Gran Turismo Sport gameplay episode, as well as a Motorsports update episode. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Spellgo YouTube channel for more of my Gran Turismo Sport gameplay episodes, as well as my other content. And as always, thank you for watching.